What's up, you guys? It's Simon. Welcome back to my channel. So first thing I want to say is I am sorry if the audio quality for the beginning of this video is different than it will be in the story time. I had to re-record my intro because it talked about me almost hitting 1,000 subscribers, but as you guys know, we're already there. The Draw This in Your Style is up. If you'd like to enter, go to that video, draw the thing, leave a comment letting me know what social media it's on. It will be available to enter on Instagram as well as obviously on YouTube. You can make a video, you can draw the thing on Instagram or Twitter or what have you. Just make sure that you leave a comment on the video letting me know that you're entered alongside a link or just a general description of where I can find your entry on what social media so I can see what your thing looks like. So yeah, thank you guys so much for 1K, and I'm so excited to see all of your entries for that. So now let us get into the story time. One last thing I want to say before we get into the story is if you guys have any commission horror stories of your own or something similar and you'd like to be featured and have me read them in a video, please comment down below and tell me your story because I would love to see them. So, getting into the story, I got a DM from this person who we're going to call June because it's June. So June DMs me and asks if I do art trades, and I don't really do art trades or collabs unless I personally know the person that I'm trading or collabing with, because usually I end up doing my half and then getting left with nothing and essentially having done a free commission, which obviously is not great or very fun. And obviously most people who will ask to do an art trade with you are actually genuinely trying to be nice and want to have a fun experience with an art friend, but every single person who ever asked me to do a trade or a collab that I did not personally know got my half and then ran. So I just don't do them personally. So I politely tell June that I unfortunately don't do art trades, but if I ever decide to do so, that I'd let them know. And they say that's fine, and then proceeds to ask if I do commissions. And I tell them that I do, and that if they're interested, I can show them prices with some examples, to which June says yes. So I send them over my prices, and to my surprise, they actually want to commission me. And I say it's to my surprise because the DM happened to be on Amino, and as much as I love Amino, and I do know that a good handful of you are actually over here from Amino, I love Amino and I love all of you who are here. I know I recognize a lot of your usernames every time you comment on one of my videos, and I love you guys so much. I feel like Amino is such a really good positive community that's helped me out a lot personally, so I would heartily recommend checking out Amino. However, the thing with Amino is that it's somewhat difficult for commissions because a lot of people on the app either ask to pay with Amino coin or are too young to have a PayPal. And this isn't necessarily something that bothers me specifically. I just think honestly, if you're underage, doing Amino commissions is a great way to get your work out there and make a reputation for yourself. However, as an adult whose main source of income comes from commissions, Amino coins aren't exactly something that I can do anything with, which is totally fine. If you want to do them, like I said, it's a really good thing to do, just not for me personally. But this means that I get particularly excited once I send someone my prices, they see that it is in fact with real money and not Amino coin, and they still want to commission me. So June tells me that they'd like a half-body traditional art commission, which runs about $14, and I tell them that's great and thank them for commissioning me, and then proceed with my normal businessy self. I always ask each commissioner what exactly they'd like me to illustrate. I ask them if there are any reference images, what payment source they're going to be using, because I accept a few different ones, and finally what their email address is so that I can send them either an invoice, a high-res image, or both. So June gives me all of the info and decides to use PayPal, which is great. So I send them an invoice, which I would highly encourage any artist looking to sell commissions to do, because invoices allow you to keep track of your earnings as well as make it easier to see if a commissioner has paid you or not, which we will get to. So the invoice gets sent, and then June asks if they could do a 50-50 payment. In most cases, I always take initial payment up front, and this is where my first tip comes in. If at all possible, try to take the full amount up front, because nothing is stopping the commissioner from bouncing once they've received the art, whether they've paid or not. Do not ever send anybody art before they've paid you. However, 50-50 payment was recommended by this particular community, So I agreed that I'd send them this sketch once payment was partially completed. When PayPal sends an invoice, or when you send an invoice through PayPal, there's the little box that allows you to check and allow partial payment. So the commissioner can input however much money they'd like to pay towards the invoice without having to pay the full amount. So that's what I did. I checked that little box and let them know that the invoice was ready and that I'll be sending the sketch to them once payment is completed. And here's my second tip for you all. Do not start working until they've paid you. This comes into don't send them art until they've paid you. Do not even start working until they've paid you, because your time is worth being paid for. If you start working on a commission before payment, even if it's just a sketch, you spent time on something that there is always a potential you won't be paid for. Luckily for June, I was in the middle of an art block and was comfortable sketching before being paid because it was something that would help me in the long run. I still would not recommend you do what I did regardless of art block status. Always wait until payment has been received. Anyway, I finished the sketch and messaged June again, letting them know that the sketch was finished and that I'd send once I got their payment. June replies very simply, "Okay, sent. Great." So I double checked my PayPal account because another fun fact about invoices, once they've been paid, you'll receive a notification from PayPal regarding the payment on both PayPal as well as whatever email you have set up. And it will also immediately go to your account. And just as I thought, there was no payment, no email, no anything. So their invoice still said pending, invoice sent, which is not what a paid invoice looks like, even if there was only partial payment. I'd say at the very least, I would have received like a $7 notification that had been sent to my account, but there was no such thing. I give June the benefit of the doubt, however, and let them know that I wasn't seeing any payment, but that I'd give it a bit to see if there was some sort of delay. No reply. I figure at this point it's about 9 p.m. for me, so it might be late for them. And that's totally fine. So I call it a night, and a whole 13 hours later, at nearly 4 p.m. the next day, on my end it says completed, is what June says. And I'm thinking, okay, that's a little weird. Still trying to give the benefit of the doubt, I check my PayPal again, and it just says invoice sent, pending, no $7. Keep in mind, it's only $7 that June is trying to avoid paying me. I messaged June again, this time with a screenshot showing that on my end there's no payment, and ask if they can provide a screenshot of what it looks like to them. Just their PayPal homepage that would have showed a subtraction of $7 would have been fine for me. Instead of responding to my screenshot request, however, June says, "Well, since it hasn't gone through, can I change the character?" So I'm a little annoyed, but you know, as I was starting to sketch the initial illustration, I was starting to have a feeling that I wasn't going to be paid, and I had already had plans to turn it into something else. So, I kind of just let it slide. It wasn't a big problem for me since I already had plans for the other illustration. Still, don't do this again. Your work and time matter, and it is something that you deserve to be paid for. Do not be like me. So I accept. June sends me a new character. I again complete the sketch and inform June that I will send it once I receive payment. "Alright," says June. And of course, you guys can see on the screenshot where it says that June deleted a message. This message I happened to get a notification for before they deleted it, and it said I paid $12. Keep in mind, she's meant to pay me $7 and not $12. So now I'm under the impression that they're actively trying to scam someone else in addition to me. I check my PayPal, and to no surprise, there's no payment. I ask yet again, is there a way you can send me some form of confirmation? Because again, I'm not getting any notifications from PayPal or my email, and it's not reading as if I've been paid. I know payment should be received immediately because this very same day, I got a commission from somebody else, and once he said he paid it, it had immediately gone to my account. "Is your internet slow?" says June. PayPal is being slow for me too, so shrug emoji. I'm pretty annoyed at this point, but still trying to play cool. And once again, I ask, is there a screenshot of anything that you can show me? "I'll take a look," says June. Probably, I want to say around 30 minutes later, maybe more or less, I ask any update. June says no, and this is nearing the end of our conversation. So I say, all right, just let me know. I'm sorry about the trouble, because even though this is my job and I shouldn't have to ask to be paid for work, 2 jobs technically now that I have done, I still apologize because I always feel guilty when I have to push to remind somebody about payment. And this is where June really flipped the switch, and I was 100% certain that they were scamming me. No more benefit of the doubt. I think it's being weird because I paid half. I'll just pay full and see what happens. Can you send the sketch in the meantime? Eyes emoji. Never, ever, ever, ever do this. If you have not been paid, do not send your work. I don't care if there are any technical difficulties, y'all. If you have not been paid, do not send. End of the story, because they will take your art and run for the hills and you will never see a cent of the work that you did. So, in a last-ditch attempt, a third chance, right? Third time's the charm. I tell them that if it's being weird because of the partial payment, I can send an invoice for the for the $7, but I'm uncomfortable sending it beforehand. And June stops replying. So that's how I knew it was a scam and proceeded to report them. And normally I hate doing stuff like this, but I wouldn't want any younger artist or an artist less experienced in commissions to end up in contact with them and getting scammed by them, especially because I was already concerned that they were in contact with somebody else. And again, chances are that that was correct. So in the end, June finally replies after being spoken to by a mod where they say that the $7 invoice might work. So I send it over, and no reply for the second night. So I wake up in the morning, and it is by mid-afternoon after I get out of the shower that I see one more glorious message from June. Unfortunately, I can't see anything that June said before this last message, for reasons you will soon know. But we can see that the last message I have from them was at the time a little under an hour before I'd gotten out of the shower, and it says, "Can you at least send a sketch so I know it's not a scam?" What? What? So, of course, I clicked this message thinking like, oh, I'm gonna reply and tell her once again, like, no, I'm not comfortable with that. We've both spoken to mods at this point. But once I click it, there, all I can see is that all of June's messages are gone. And I can see from a message from the leader, as well as another wonderful, kind mod, that June had been banned. So I can only hope that no other artists were scammed in the process of getting rid of June. But also, not only did they end up getting banned, but the leader took it upon themselves to give me some props and feature my commission info, so that was pretty stinking awesome of them. They did not have to do that. I don't know if they're gonna see this somehow, but if you do, if you know what I'm talking about, thank you so much. Okay, y'all, so before we continue on with the story, I just want to tell y'all what just happened just after the words you just heard. Basically, I forgot I was editing a video and my computer shut down, and when I tell you I screamed, I was literally livid. I have filmed this voiceover so many times, a ridiculous number of times. My dad walked in twice, a spider terrorized me last night. I tried to get my last good take in, and then a spider decided to make himself known right next to me as I was trying to light a candle to calm myself down, so that was pretty disrespectful of him. And then I get into it today, and I got all the way through this voiceover for the first time ever, and then my computer shut itself down because I forgot that I selected to shut down after it was finished. So that was horrifying, but upon rebooting my computer, it says recovered, so I managed to get this voiceover back, which is incredible. So yeah, nightmare, crisis, horrificness averted. However, it did stop responding for a while, so that scared me. But we all good. So I'm going to finish this video up for you guys. That was my horror story for commissions. For the most part, I've had really good experience with commissions and have really enjoyed working with all of the people that have commissioned me. Like I said before, I still have commissions open, so if you're interested, remember to send me a DM on Instagram or contact me at the email in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for sticking through this assuredly long story. I appreciate all of you who take the time to watch my videos and support me because it really does mean a lot. And speaking of supporting me, I'd like to give a big shout out to my patron, Elise Thompson. You're the absolute best. Thank you so much for continuing to support me every single month. If you'd like to get your name read alongside awesome people like Elise, be sure to check out my Patreon page that will be linked in the description, where I also have a ton of other awesome rewards like tiled wallpapers, free line art, and some other things to come. I love you guys so much, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!